work at the 519 in education and training. I also work at Woodlands College Hospital as a research assistant. I work with trans women living with HIV and affected by HIV as the broad spectrum of my work. So this project that we're going to talk about here is called Transcending Love. And what it is, we looked at African and Caribbean trans women, specifically talking about HIV, talking about self-love, and talking about acceptance. So many of you know trans women, specifically of color, experience a lot of discrimination based just on who they are. And many agencies here in Toronto, a lot of trans women of color can go to or don't go to, just because of who they are or they don't see themselves reflected. So we've been trying to do a lot of work over the years, in particular with a lot of people. Finally, we got funded for a project called TPOP, which is Trans People of Color, specifically to train and engage trans women of color to become leaders, to become service providers, to go out and do training, workshops. We kind of finished that part, so now we're moving into cooking. So we're cooking, talking about sexual health, what that means, what it means for us as Caribbean women, African women, newcomers, sex workers, and we're moving on. So eventually what we're gonna do at the end is create a cookbook. And the cookbook is gonna have all these recipes, specifically cultural dishes, pepper pot, whatever, and stuff around sexual health and how that's gonna play out. So we really wanna create something for our community, by our community, with our community. So this project, Transcending Love, just to acknowledge Dr. Carmen Logie, myself, some of you know Buttercup, Tatiana Ferguson, Shannon Rye, who's the executive director for Black Cap, and Mary, who is, David, what's Mary's title again? Rachel. Click. Alright. That's the only way we can do this. So this will give you a background overview, why we did it, what we found, and what did we learn. Okay. Click. So across the globe, we know that trans women experience stigma, social exclusion, that compromise well-being and human rights. It contributes to many things. So we know that trans women of color are 2 to 3 times higher than general population to be infected with HIV or not seek treatment for HIV. We looked at it from an intrapersonal, structural, and a healthcare system. So we wanted trans women affirming HIV information material, gender affirming care, and integration of gender and HIV care. And what this basically means is we would like to see the reflection of all sort of sexual health material reflected in trans women of color. And we don't have that as it is right now. It's either very like gay men focused, especially with all the PrEP stuff that's out there, or very, very just general. You know, so we want to see more reflection, and not just in that, but as we move through working with social service agencies. Okay, so we look at the nexus of gender identity, ethno-racial identity, socio-economic status, sex work, and among other factors. We looked at a study in the US that demonstrated how to engage HIV care, engagement and retention across the cascade. We looked at limited attention to HIV parodies around trans women of color in Canada, so particularly African, Caribbean trans women, Black women. Okay. This slide is a little bit smaller, it's a little bit busy, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. It just talks about like the structural factors and how everything goes inside of our circle. So if you don't have this in place, you can't have that. People won't access that, and it just goes around in a circle. Many of the service providers here know how that works. We've been talking about that all morning. So this is how we conducted the focus group. We used that method, the intervention, and we adapted for trans women of color here in Toronto. We conducted focus group with trans women of color. There were 8, consulted with a research team, which I talked about earlier on, and we included trans leaders in the community. So what we developed was the art-based workshop. So these are just some of the codes that the focus group called to move. So when we started to talk about HIV, they were like, you know what? We've heard enough about HIV. We know what HIV is. We're not that. We want to talk about love. We want to talk about self-love. We want to talk about body love. And we want to talk about acceptance. Because nobody's accepting us for who we are just because of. So we thought, okay, we're going to shift the dynamics. And we're going to talk about self-love. Because that's what you all want. Although we still have the component of HIV, but we made the shift to self-love. These are some of the highlights of what people were saying. So to validate each and every one of our lives, modules to be better put in place, to teach us how to love ourselves. So these are just some quotes. Click. So these are the three forms of the art that we use. So we use mirrors, so we went to the dollar store, we bought mirrors, actual mirrors, and gave it to people. We did the heart, so we cut out these hearts, we gave it to them, so they have the option of a mirror or a heart. Some people prefer to do both. And then we did gender affirming cards. So the trans women wrote affirming words, slangs, phrases on these cards, and then we had these cards printed, and we would give them to service providers. So if you were working with trans women and they were, for whatever reason, having a bad day or going through something, you could take one of these cards and give it to them and say, hey, another girl like you wrote this, and this is something you could take home with you. So we had these three options. And then we had a huge exhibit at Black Cat. We presented this at the International AIDS Conference in Amsterdam this year. So it's been well received all across. We presented a number of places, and people really like the method. This was just the poster for it. So of course we had to have, you know, something sassy. Like, so this is the mirror. These images are a little bit harder to see. They're actually really beautiful in person. But because of kind of last minute, I didn't really get that. I could have had them when I exhibit. So the mirrors in the middle, the hearts on the right, and the affirming card is on the left. So like you can see it says, love yourself, you did great today. I gotta read the others, and then some people like bling it up, make it really pretty, all that stuff. Okay. So it just gives you a background of how many people were at the workshop. So we have roughly African 2, Caribbean 6, Latinx 3, Indigenous 3, and other ethnicities 3. So for the other ethnicities, we had girls shows up who didn't fit African Caribbean, but we didn't turn them away because there are often spaces that they can't get to or have access to, so we were like, sure, y'all still come in and take part of it. It's not a big deal. Alright. So I'm not going to read like the full quote, so I'm just going to give you like what one of the women said. I saw an amazing person in the mirror. Self-love is most important now. We think in order to be trans, you need to look a certain way or need to fit a certain type of woman. And when you see you. You should see beauty. Still, I always feel like I'm a survivor in this shitty world. I love myself beyond this hatred, beyond this ignorance. There's one of the heart. The leaf represents growth, so somebody actually added a leaf onto the heart, which was fine. They had the option of doing whatever. If those things didn't happen, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be who I am. You've had to always start at a place of self-love, then things can come in that are good and positive. So reflections. Okay. This exercise makes me think about myself more than what I am and see in the mirror. I totally love myself more today than I ever have. Okay, I never looked at it in this perspective. The more we can celebrate our love for each other and doing that work of self-care, saying we're beautiful to each other, so you don't feel alone. It is breathtaking to know that you can find trans women who would be there before knowing anything else about you, be open to share their stories. If we don't think of ourselves, of any worth of value, we'll let people hurt us. People will let people have sex with us without condoms, or we'll do things that are risky for our health. The more we can create topics or themes around sexual health, just having those conversations, bringing it out of the shadows and talking about it as normal, and there's nothing wrong with whatever you choose, as long as you do it safely and look after yourself and others. So again, at the top for me, it would be specifically titled Sexual Health, which I wouldn't want to come to. I want to come to something that would bring about change in my life. So of course, people didn't really want to talk about sexual health. They wanted something that they could talk about their general life in general. You talk a lot about statistics, but you invited me here to talk about trans community when you don't even have nothing for trans community. Hence today, follow the paradigms of gender. So these are some of the lessons learned, the takeaways. We changed from a focus on HIV prevention to addressing self-love. We held events at various venues to reach diverse trans women of color. So one of the workshops was at Black Cap, one was at Maggie's, and one was at 519. We engage trans women of color as leaders. Wisdom and community knowledge can inform innovative methodologies. Possibilities of art-based approach to self-love with trans women. Allows for self-reflection, can build connections and solidarity. Strength-based and hopeful, fun arts activities to choose from, and can be shared with community. We produce a deck of team-up cards, held multiple art exhibits. And this is one of the cards again. I am who I am, life will be better, transcend, I love me. Alright, so just the acknowledgement, the collaborators, the 519, Black Cat Maggie's, Women Health Room 10, the team members again, and the funders, CIHR.